I'm going to call the House Judiciary Committee to order. Madam Clerk, will you please call for attendance?
Chair Lightner.
Here.
Representatives BeGole.
Here.
Wozniak.
Here.
Harris.
Here.
DeBoyer.
Here.
Johnson. Here. Schutte.
Here.
Carter.
Here.
Hope. Here. Green. Scott. Present. Madam Chair, you have 10 members present. You do have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Rep. Schutte moves to adopt the minutes from 10:29. Hearing no objection, the minutes are adopted. Rep. Wozniak moves to excuse absent members. Hearing no objection, absent members are excused. And then we are going to go at ease for a moment. All right, we're back to order. Next up on the agenda, we are going to be doing some voting in regards to House Bills 4481, 4482, and 4483. Rep. DeBoyer, Rep. Hoadley, Rep. Aragona, and we'll take them one by one. We already took testimony on these bills, but I do have an additional card. Kyle Zawicki of ACLU of Michigan does not wish to speak and supports the bill. And written testimony was already submitted as well. All right. With that, Rep. BeGole moves to report House Bill 4481 with recommendation. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Chair Lightner.
Yes.
Representatives BeGole.
Yes.
Wozniak.
Here.
Harris.
Yes.
DeBoyer.
Yes.
Johnson. Yes. Schutte.
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Hope. Pass. Green. Pass. Scott.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 9 yeas, 0 nays, and 2 pass. The motion prevails.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to House Bill 4482 by Rep. Hoadley, and Rep. Wozniak will move to report House Bill 4482 with recommendation. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Chair Lightner.
Yes.
Representatives BeGole.
Yes.
Wozniak.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
DeBoyer.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Schutte.
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Hope. Pass. Green. Pass. Scott.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Madam Chair, you have 9 nays, 0 nays, 2 pass. The motion prevails.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next, we will move to House Bill 4483. Rep. Harris moves to report House Bill 4483 with recommendation. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Chair Lightner.
Yes.
Representatives BeGole.
Yes.
Wozniak.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
DeBoyer.
Yes.
Johnson. Yes. Schutte.
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Hope. Pass. Green. Pass. Scott.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 9 yeas, 0 nays, and 2 pass. The motion prevails.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next up, we will have House Bill 4211. It's been a little while since we took up this bill. This is Rep. O'Neill. I have that. Rep. O'Neill's bill. And we do have a substitute, and so I will move to adopt the H3 to House Bill 4211. Madam Clerk, please call the vote. Oh, can I talk about the sub? Sorry, let me explain the sub. So the sub on this bill clarifies qualifying event for resentencing under People versus Sarnacki. I don't know, I can't even say it. Sarnacki. People versus Taylor. These are the cases that extended the Miller resentencings to offenders who committed murders when they were 19 or 20 years old. And so this just adds that clarification to the bill so we can allow for monies to be spent on reentry services for this sector of people. It affects about 70 to 80 cases right now that we're aware of, if they choose to receive those services. So with that, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the substitute, please.
You're making the motion
Yes.
to adopt the H3 sub to House Bill 4211. Chair Lightner.
Yes.
Representatives BeGole.
Yes.
Wozniak.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
DeBoyer.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Shooty.
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Hope.
Yes.
Breen.
Aye.
Scott.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 11 yeas, 0 nays, and 0 pass. The substitute is adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right, before we move to report that House bill, I'm going to read in the cards. So we have not wishing to speak and supports the bill, Kyle Zawicki, ACLU of Michigan. Supports the bill, does not wish to speak, Paul Stankiewicz, Michigan Catholic Conference. Does not wish to speak, supports the bill, Nicole Porter, the Sentencing Project. Does not wish to speak and supports the bill, Harvey Santana of the Alliance for Safety and Justice. Does not wish to speak and supports the bill, Jessica Zimbelman of SADO. Does not wish to speak and supports the bill, John Cooper, Safe and Just Michigan. Does not wish to speak and supports the bill, Noah Smith, Criminal Defense Attorneys of Michigan. Tony Gant, Michigan Collaborative to End Mass Incarceration, does not wish to speak and supports the bill. And then we also have electronic cards that were submitted, supports the bill. Michigan League for Public Policy supports the bill, does not wish to speak. Reentry Group Center for Transformation. Andrew Lehman from the Center of Transformation supports bill also. Oh, and Fred Welch of the Center for Transformation supports the bill as well. Sorry, there's a bunch of them. A Brighter Way, Joseph Meyer from A Brighter Way supports the bill, does not wish to speak. Kay Perry of MI Cure supports the bill, does not wish to speak. Conrad Allman of National Lifers of America supports the bill, does not wish to speak. Jim Walters of Van Buren County supports the bill, does not wish to speak. Wanda Siski would like to do a card of support, does not wish to speak. Jessica Cortez supports the bill, does not wish to speak. Judy Collins supports the bill and does not wish to speak. Kristen Brigard of Ann Arbor supports the bill, does not wish to speak. And Mona, Khalid supports the bill, does not wish to speak. And those were all submitted electronically as well. With that, Rep. Wozniak moves to report House Bill 4211 as substitute H3. Will the clerk please call the vote?
Chair Lightner.
Yes.
Representatives BeGole.
Yes.
Wozniak.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
DeBoyer.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Shooty.
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Hope.
Yes.
Breen.
Aye.
Scott.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 11 yeas, 0 nays, and 0 pass. The motion prevails.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next up, we are going to call up Rep. Rogers and Rep. Wendzel in regards to House Bills 4334 and 4335. And I'm going to go ahead and read these cards before you guys, like some of these that don't wish to speak anyways, if you don't mind. Yeah, I'm going to read these cards real quick. Kyle Zawicki of ACLU of Michigan does not wish to speak and opposes the bill. Jessica, I can't really read it. Lenave, maybe? I don't know. The letters are in there. Anyways, does not wish to speak and supports the bill. Does not wish to speak and supports the bill. John Lamacchia of the MML. And then we'll do the testimony ones after you guys go ahead and give yours. So if you would like to explain your bills, that would be great. You have the floor, ladies.
Good morning, Chair Leitner and members of the House Judiciary Committee. Thank you so much for hearing our testimony on bipartisan vulnerable roadway user package of bills. Today before you is my bill, House Bill 4334, and Rep. Wendzel's bill, House Bill 4335. The package expands protections to pedestrians, bicyclists, individuals using a wheelchair, or an individual riding or operating a vulnerable transportation device. Last term, similar bills, House Bill 5223 and 4 and Senate Bill 617 and 18, passed each respective chamber with wide bipartisan support and ran out of time in lame duck. The vote count in the House was 79 to 29. I myself am a runner and a cyclist, and I have experienced a few near misses myself while on the road or the shoulder of the road when a car mirror has brushed my arm. It is terrifying. I have known residents in my county who have sustained serious injuries after being struck by drivers. And later you will hear testimony from survivors of one of the most deadliest bicycle tragedies in our state to date, which occurred in my district on June 7, 2016, when 5 cyclists as part of a group ride known as the Chain Gang were killed by a reckless driver in Kalamazoo County. Others who survived had very significant injuries. This tragedy rocked our community, and we will never be the same. As a physical therapist, I want to share with you the trauma and suffering that some of my patients have endured after being hit while they are out exercising and simply enjoying life. Rehabbing through physical pain is challenging enough. Losing one's mobility and relearning everyday life skills like walking, dressing yourself, holding a pencil, and eventually returning to your sport requires serious perseverance. But equally devastating is when these survivors describe the aftermath and the re-traumatization when the driver of the vehicle involved in their crash is not held accountable. We are here today to try to make a difference by providing enhanced penalties for moving violations that cause serious injury or death and providing a definition of vulnerable transportation device and vulnerable roadway users. We're bringing these policies forward today because historically it has been difficult to prosecute with the current laws that are on the books. My bill, House Bill 4334, adds a section to the Michigan Vehicle Code of 1949, PA 300, and defines a vulnerable roadway device as a device in, on, or by which an individual or property may be transported or drawn on a highway or street by human power, or by an electrical propulsion system with an average power of 750 watts or 1 horsepower or a maximum speed of 30 miles per hour. My bill also defines vulnerable roadway user to include a pedestrian, an individual using the following: roller skates, non-motorized scooters, non-motorized skateboards, wheelchairs, riding an equine or driving an equine-drawn carriage, an individual riding a vulnerable transportation device, a U.S. Postal Service employee operating a vehicle while on a rural postal route. According to the data, we are seeing a larger percentage of all U.S. roadway fatalities as vulnerable road users who are involved in crashes with motor vehicles. In March of 2022, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration released its 2020 annual traffic crash, and data showed the highest number of fatalities since 2007. Over the last 5 years, we have engaged with MSP, MDOT, Michigan Prosecutors Association, Michigan League of Bicyclists, and Bike Friendly Kalamazoo on this legislation. Thank you again for hearing our testimony. In addition to Rep. Wendzel, we do have Andy Rohr with Michigan League of Bicyclists and 2 crash survivors also wishing to testify with us. We're happy to take questions now. We're at the end, and I want to personally thank Paul Reynolds, Chain Gang member and crash survivor from Kalamazoo County, who has come up to Lansing multiple times in person to testify on how this subject matter affected him personally. I cannot imagine how difficult it is to relay these events on what was probably one of the worst days of his life. Thank you, Chair Leitner.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and the rest of the committee for having us here today to hear testimony. I have the simple bill in this package. My bill adds the felonies proposed by Representative Rogers' bill to the sentencing guidelines. But this package is important to me very personally and very important to my district. In March of this year, an 8-year-old Amish girl, Alma Yoder, was killed when an SUV rear-ended the buggy she was riding in my district in Lawrence Township. Alma didn't make it. Her 12-year-old brother was critically injured, but later upgraded to stable condition. The horse pulling the buggy was also killed. Incident number 2. In August of this year, 6 people were injured in Bloomingdale Township, also in my district, after an SUV crashed into their Amish buggy. When deputies arrived, they found 5 of the 6 occupants of the buggy were severely injured. Deputies began life-saving measures on the person with the most serious injuries, and multiple ambulances arrived at the scene to begin treating and transporting those with injuries. All 6 were taken to the area hospital. The third incident happened about 15 years ago. Nobody ever wants to receive this call. I was in college at the time and received a call that my dad was in the hospital from police. I was the last person that he had called on his phone, so I'm the first one that they called. So I had to inform the rest of my family. They didn't know if he was going to make it. He had been hit while biking out by our house and left on the side of the road to die. Somebody drove by and found him laying there. He did survive. He is alive today, but the person was charged with reckless driving. He left the scene and, obviously critically injured person riding a bike. So taken together, these bills restructure accountability and enhance penalties for motor vehicle operators whose traffic violations result in injury, serious injury, or death to vulnerable roadway users, who have just as much of a right to use our roadways as every other Michigander. This package is about safety, it's about common sense, and it's about protecting vulnerable members of our state who like to use our roadways safely. Thank you.
Thank you. One thing I did forget to mention, because we have numerous bills today, again, just like last week, and numerous people who would like to testify. We will try to get to as many of you as we can. Please know I'm going to try to limit the additional members that were not part of like your original testimony to like 3 minutes if you can. I'm going to try to time you because there are numerous, and we have numerous other bills that we need to get through today during committee. But with that, I'll go ahead and start calling people up. The first card of people that wish to speak, and if you want to just come up to the table, John Waterman, Taria Cyrus, I don't know, I'm sorry, I'm butchering names today, Sean Kozman, and Connor Waterman. If you guys, it's the program to educate all cyclists. I know that you all support the bill and wish to speak.
Thank you, Representative, committee members. My name is John Waterman. I'm the Executive Director and founder of PEAK, a program that empowers individuals with disabilities through active modes of transportation, biking, busing, and walking. I have 3 brave individuals here with me to share their story of what non-motorized travel means. First, I'm going to start with Tria. Tria? Your name is?
Taria Sims.
Great. And Tria, do you have a disability?
Yes, I do.
And what is it? Speak loud.
A cognitive impairment, which means reading and writing is tough.
And you've spoke a lot of times, and every time you say it, that brings back a little trauma, doesn't it? Were you teased as a child?
Yes.
Yeah. And so right now, what is something you've learned to be independent? And a cognitive impairment means reading and writing is tough, right?
Yeah.
How do you get around?
My bike
Your bike
or the smart bus.
or the smart bus? 2 great ways, right?
Yeah.
Now, your bike, you're riding your bike. You're a mechanic too, right?
Yes.
You built your bike.
Yes.
1 bike
2.
or 3?
No, just 2.
Just 2. All right. So you're getting there. You're almost a full bicyclist. Once you get 4 or 5, then you're really there, right?
Yeah.
When you learn to ride your bike, to the PEAK building. What city do you live in?
Lincoln Park, Michigan.
Lincoln Park. And when you ride that bike, how did you learn to ride it?
You.
From me.
Yeah.
Did I make you mad?
A little.
A little?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Be honest.
Yeah.
You got really mad with me, right?
Yeah.
Because you said you could do it.
Yeah.
But you had to learn what time of day to ride in busy traffic, to learn how to negotiate with cars.
Right.
And you now can ride your bike on your own, right?
Yeah.
You always check in when you do that.
Yeah.
Now, this is your mode of getting around and being independent.
Yeah.
Do you want someone to take care of you,
No.
to drive you around?
No.
You want to be independent.
Yes.
Now, are you helping other kids with disabilities like yourself?
Yes.
I heard cycling, you just did something really, actually I saw it, I'll admit it, something really cool this year. What did you do?
I did a bike ride at Lake Erie Metro Park.
Yeah, and did you lead the group?
Yeah. The
Yeah.
4-mile ride.
The 4-mile ride, and you made sure everybody was safe, and you checked out, and you
Yeah.
showed it. And so, is the cycling important to you?
Yes.
Do you want to be protected while you're riding?
Yes.
Do you ever get scared?
Sometimes.
Yeah. And this bill would help us, wouldn't it?
Yes.
And so it really is. This is the only way TRIA is going to get around. And it's so, so important. My next person is Sean. You want to state your name? Talk right in.
I'm Sean Crossman Peak.
You're Sean Cosman, and you work with Peak. Where do you live?
And
Canton, Michigan?
Yep.
And if you want to go to work, how do you do it?
on my bike.
On your bike. Peak describes roads as mean or nice. And in fact, we're in a study with U of M to demonstrate that our students are validating their study through Strava. And right, we're working on that for the spring. How would you describe those roads, Michigan Ave and Haggerty? What is that like? Are those mean roads or nice roads?
It's mean.
What makes them mean?
It's too many trucks.
Too many trucks? Do those trucks smell nice?
No.
No. A lot of garbage trucks?
Yep.
How do they drive?
Too fast.
Too fast? Have you ever been hit by a car?
Once.
Once is enough, I can tell you. And what happened?
Yeah, I mean,
What did you get hurt?
I did.
Where?
My side.
Your side. Your side was all hurt?
Yep.
What happened to your bike?
Torted it.
Totaled it, right? All gone. Your bike was gone, your side was hit. But the driver, this was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, the driver felt bad, right?
Yep.
And bought you a new bike.
Yep.
But there was nothing happened. And he drove through the red light and hit you, right?
Yep.
And so these are the type of things, awareness is what I'm more concerned about than penalty. And just like what we've done with our road workers, our police officers on the side of the road, we've brought awareness and we've brought safety. And when we talk vulnerable user, we're talking Sean and Tria. We're talking their independence. For the full disclosure, the next person is...
Hello, I'm Connor, or Waterman. I'm his son,
Yeah.
better
And
known as.
And so, kind of, you face a little different disability, don't you?
Yes.
What is it?
I have a hearing impairment, a cookie cutter hearing loss, which I can hear high and low frequencies fairly well. I have a visual impairment. I don't have any peripheral vision, so if I'm walking, I can't really see anything, so I have to kind of look down sometimes. And I have a mild cerebral palsy on my left side, which can kind of affect my balance, but I'm also just clumsy, so.
So you're basically a trifecta of disability, right?
Exactly, yeah.
When you're riding your bike, you've lost peripheral vision
Mhm.
and you have a hearing impairment.
Mhm.
What does that mean? How does it alert you when a car comes by?
So I have to scan a lot more frequently than most people because I'm not going to be able to hear a car. I will get hit so quickly because I won't hear it. And if I'm not scanning and if I'm not looking backwards when I'm riding a bicycle, I'm going to be in a little bit of trouble.
So that same type of barrier and that same type of distance we want for all vulnerable users, Connor needs a lot because that car comes by him and riding behind him is a dad. I've seen him be startled. I've seen the car be noticed. And there's no way you could know Connor faces a cognitive impairment. Or I mean a hearing impairment.
Yeah.
And there's no way you can know that Tria and Sean, this is the only way they can be independent. The only way they can get to their job is the bike. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thanks for telling your story as well. Next up, I'm going to actually call up two people. You're all set. Sorry. I'm going to call up Barb Anderson and Andrew Rohr. I don't know if that's a H.L. Rother. I'm sorry. I'm like, sorry. Anyways, since you both are, representing the League of Michigan Bicyclists, I just called you both up to speak in support of the bill. So thank you. You have the floor.
Director of the League of Michigan Bicyclists. We are a nonprofit which works to advocate for cycling safety and making cycling more accessible, both on the road and on trails in the state of Michigan.
Thank you.
Sorry. I have Obviously, I'm a lifelong cyclist. I've actually been hit 3 times by cars, thankfully never in the state of Michigan, but I have experienced what it is like to be hit. I recognize also that there is a gap in our law in Michigan, simply that although cyclists, runners, pedestrians, other users of micromobility devices that are legal road users do not have the same rights and protections on the road that a motorist has, or even a construction worker. And frankly, I see that as a gap in the law. It takes away an opportunity for a prosecutor when it's appropriate to charge more than just a misdemeanor, but not necessarily severe, grave felony offenses that aren't warranted by the facts of the case. And therefore, I really believe that we need to close this gap in the law. To be very clear, I agree that the position, or I agree that what the Vulnerable Road User Act should do is while giving prosecutors more options when they're warranted, it does not preclude that the individuals who may have committed those offenses would not be subject to a lawful and full investigation of their actions, and then go through the normal processes of our judicial system, which includes a jury by their peers if they so wish it. The last thing I'll say is that ultimately it comes down to that we live in a society where everybody is supposed to be equal and have the same equal protections and rights under the law. But when a cyclist or other vulnerable road user gets on the road, they simply do not under current Michigan law.
Hi, I am a board member of the League of Michigan Bicyclists, have been for the past 3 years. I'm also a lifelong cyclist. I've had close calls, but fortunately have never been hit by a car. A good friend of mine was killed by a car. He was on a group ride on a Sunday morning, and about 20 people. This drunk driver plowed into and hit 5 cyclists, and my friend was on life support for 3 days. Anyway, everyone at times is not in a car. You know, you get out of your car, you're walking into a building. Everyone's vulnerable at some time or another, not just cyclists or pedestrians. And some of us can't drive, and we all need to arrive safely where we're going, you know, going to work, going to school, shopping, whatever. So please pass this bill to make the penalty a felony if a driver recklessly drives so as to severely injure or kill a vulnerable roadway user. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, wishing to speak in support of the bill, we have Paul Rummers. I don't know if that's an N or M. Sorry. I am just butchering everybody today. I am so sorry, you guys, but okay. Reynolds. Anyways, if you would like to come up and speak, you can come up here and speak.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and others on the committee. My name is Paul Runnels, and I am here representing, what I wrote was I represent the Chain Gang Bicycle Club, but I could also represent Bike Friendly Kalamazoo or Kalamazoo Bike Club or League of Michigan Bicyclists, any number of organizations that I'm part of. I am a bicyclist and a runner, and also a walker on rural roads around where I live. And all of these are certainly covered by the VRU bills. As Representative Rogers mentioned, I am a member of the chain gang group that was struck by a drug-impaired motorist on June 7th, 2016. And we are approaching the 10th anniversary of that event next year. 5 of our friends and fellow riders were killed by that driver. 4 of us were severely injured, although fortunately we were able to rehabilitate and continue riding bicycles. although one of our members has chosen to take up pickleball instead of riding a bicycle. Certainly, all the individuals who were killed were good contributing members of the community, and it's a loss to the community that they were killed. It's ironic to say that the 4 survivors were fortunate or lucky, considering the gravity of our injuries, but we were. First responders were actively assembling to undergo training. One of them had just passed us, and when he heard the call, he returned to the scene and immediately started attending to the tragedy. We also had a prosecutor who was willing to charge and prosecute the motorist who caused the crash, and he was convicted of second-degree murder, in part because he was drug impaired. That was the additional piece, and is serving 45 years in prison now. Unfortunately, not every victim of a motorist involved crash is able to receive the same level of support that we did. I know last year when I came and testified before a different committee, I had some numbers of crashes in Kalamazoo County, and it was remarkable how few of those bicycle crashes, whether it was severe injuries or even death, ever got beyond just a police investigation stage. It should be almost embarrassing to our justice system that occurs. These VRU bills, which cover, of course, a broad range of vulnerable roadway users, certainly offer law enforcement and prosecutors a much better tool to prosecute or at least investigate incidents where a motorist, if the motorist is at fault, has caused injuries or deaths. So as a member of the chain gang, I have supported and seen implemented into practice the 3-foot passing law, the hands-free law, and it's certainly, speaking for the chain gang, it's our hope and desire that these VRU bills are passed prior to June 7th, 2016, or prior to the 10th anniversary of the June 7th, 2016 crash, and implemented into law by that time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up, supporting the bill, wishing to speak, is Stephanie Campbell. If you would like to come up to the table, just make sure that red button's pushed. Looks like it's already on.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Thank you.
Good morning, chair members and members of the House. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Stephanie Campbell, and I'm here because the man I plan to marry and the father of the baby I'm carrying was killed while cycling. On June 25th, 2025, my life changed forever. Just days before David and I were on vacation together, I was 6 weeks pregnant and we shared one of the happiest moments of our lives. June 28th, he proposed to me the day before he died. We were celebrating our engagement, our growing family, and the future we were excited to build together. The very next day, he went on a bike ride, something he loved, and he never came home. Today, I stand here 24 weeks pregnant, preparing to bring our child into the world without his father. I will give birth to a baby who will never hear David's voice, never feel his arms, and never call him daddy. And this loss is not just mine to bear. David also leaves behind his son, Lennox, who is 6, and my son, who he was about to become a stepfather to. They are both autistic, deeply sensitive, and have lost a man who have loved and guided and protected them. I think about David's death in a way that haunts me. What if this happened to a child? If a grown man and a careful, experienced rider who rode 30 miles plus a day with cycling groups could be taken so suddenly, how can we protect our most vulnerable on the road? What makes this tragedy worse is what happened after. I believe the law would step in, and I believe there would be clarity and accountability, something that reflected the value of the life that was taken. Instead, we found ourselves in a place no grieving family should be, without answers, a clear path, in the sense that the system protects vulnerable road users. This is why the Vulnerable Road User Bill matters to me. It says lives like David's matter, that safety for people walking, cycling, using wheelchairs, or simply moving through their communities matters. That when reckless or negligent driving harms or kills someone, there will be clear, meaningful consequences, not to punish, but to prevent future heartbreak and save lives. I'm not here to divide drivers and cyclists. Most of us are both. David was too. I ask for empathy, accountability, and action. To every legislator in the room, if you act, you have the power to fix what system failed to do for my family, for Lennox, for my son, and for the child that I'm carrying. Passing this bill will not bring him back, but if it prevents even one family from receiving that phone call that destroys their world, if it protects even one child from growing up without a parent, it is more than legislation. It is compassion, it is humanity, and it is necessary. And one day, our baby, Ellis David O'Brien, will grow up knowing the love of a father they never got to meet and the story of a man who deeply mattered. Please pass this bill for clarity, accountability, and for the families who still have a chance to remain whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie, for telling your story, and good luck, obviously, in the future, and with a new baby. We have two more people wishing to speak on this topic. Jeffrey Carrick, if you would like to approach the table, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Chairperson Leitner, Vice Chairpersons BeGole and Carter, as well as the members of this committee. I'd also like to express my sincere gratitude and appreciation to the sponsors of these important bills, particularly Representative Rogers and Representative Wendzel, as well as Senator Albert and McCann for the Senate companion bills. I'm a lifelong cyclist and a retired law enforcement officer with over 27 years of experience in law enforcement. Over the course of my career, I responded to hundreds of devastating crashes in my community. And I've seen firsthand the physical, emotional, and legal impact that these crashes have had on the families and the victims. Beyond that, over the past 4 years, I worked in bicycle advocacy and education, where I managed state traffic safety grants to provide training to law enforcement and citizen cyclists about bicycle and pedestrian laws. And I had also partnered with many driver's education instructors and professional drivers to promote safety and awareness on our roads. Through this work, I've had the unfortunate opportunity to speak with many victims of bicycle and motor vehicle crashes. Nearly each of these victims shared the exact same sentiment. This was no accident. This was no accident. Many of them were not only physically injured, but also deeply, deeply let down by a criminal justice system that offered little accountability for the drivers responsible for these crashes. For those who did not survive, I've spoken with their loved ones, and they too have expressed their absolute disappointment and frustration with the criminal justice system, which often delivers what feels like a mere slap on the wrist to the drivers who have taken their loved ones' lives. In many cases, the driver responsible for this is charged with a misdemeanor. Motor vehicle violation causing death. That's it. Motor vehicle violation causing death. Generally, it's a 1-year offense. At the end of the day, most of those drivers end up with a low level of probation and are back on the streets, driving their motor vehicles and going about their lives, living as if nothing happened. The only other alternative is second-degree murder, a very, very hard conviction to get. So when a prosecutor looks at this based on a police officer's investigation, they're looking at it. Can I prove this before they'll even charge it? If they can't prove it, it's not getting charged. In Kalamazoo, luckily, the prosecutor had what they needed in order to prosecute that. Most recently in Ionia County a couple of years ago, the prosecutor also successfully charged second-degree murder in a bicycle-involved motor vehicle crash. Extenuating circumstances existed in both of those crashes, drug and or alcohol use, which helped to prove that that driver knew that their actions could potentially kill or severely harm somebody. Often due to staffing limitations and resource constraints, law enforcement and prosecutors are left to pursue the easiest charges. As I just said, if they can't prove it, they're just going to go with what's easy. Back to a one-year misdemeanor, a mere slap on the wrist for taking someone's life. The passage of House Bills 4334 and 4335 alongside of the Senate Bills 216 and 217 would be a significant step forward for Michigan. These bills would provide prosecutors with more appropriate tools and ensure meaningful consequences for those whose negligence has harmed vulnerable roadway users. The legislation brings penalties for harming cyclists, pedestrians, equestrians, as well as other defined groups in line with laws that already protect at-risk groups. Those groups include my prior professional law enforcement, tow truck drivers, firefighters, EMTs, road construction workers. They are afforded already these protections under Michigan law, yet other groups are merely passed over. With these changes, Michigan would join 12 other states who have enacted prosecution or protections for vulnerable roadway users. Law enforcement alone isn't the full solution to protecting our cyclists, pedestrians, equestrians, and others. It's a critical piece. Research through the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration consistently shows that robust enforcement of laws specifically paired with follow through in the courts can change behavior on our roadways and improve safety outcomes. And ultimately, that's the goal, is to improve safety on our roadways. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak today, and I urge your support for this important legislation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, this is going to be the last one. Wishing to speak in supports bill, Paul Szymanski. If you would like to approach and come on up.
Hi, my name is Paul Szymanski, and this is the second time. Can you hear me okay? Yep. Okay. This is only the second time I've spoken publicly about this since I was struck by a car on May 24th, 2024. The last time I was presenting at 5x5 night for a $5,000 prize on a project I had been working on for 5 years, and I completely froze. I couldn't speak a word. So PSD can do strange things, and I hope this one goes a little better. I have about 200,000 bike miles on my body at the age of 64 now, so I've been riding all my life. I have every bike that I've ridden with, and I've got about 5 bikes, minus one. This is what's left of the bike I was riding and racing with for the last 3 or 4 years in Grand Rapids. Actually, I've been riding that bike for quite a lot longer, but I was racing. I can't tell the whole story here today in 3 minutes, but there's a video on the White Line Bicycle Advocacy site that I encourage you to take a look at. And this video is not very long, 2 or 3 minutes, just like today, but it'll go into far more detail. So the trauma of the crash was only the beginning. The harder trauma began almost immediately afterwards. From the moment the police officers tried to get me into an ambulance, which I refused, I did not need an ambulance, my injuries were not serious. I lost a few teeth, I had some deep bruising, contusions, but my head had landed 6 inches from a curb. I am able to speak and walk and still ride. In fact, I rode the next day. And the only reason I'm able to do that, I think, is because I'm about twice the size of an average bicyclist. I'm a big guy. And so instead of going under the car, I was taken up on the hood and thrown. So I landed face first. I can no longer play guitar because my left hand is damaged with arthritis now. I can still grip, I can still do all the things, but I can't do the delicate things anymore. You don't know where to stop when this happens. Just doing this today, I was fine for the last 3 or 4 months, no sleepless nights. Last 3 days, since I knew I was coming here, it's difficult again. I'm waking up in the middle of the night, and all this reminder comes back. And yet, I survived. I didn't have serious injuries, like many of the other people here who were killed. So I encourage you to pass this, because if you look at this harrowing story, and the details I can't go into, you'll see that every step of the way, I stood alone, except for one letter from Jeff Carrick, who supported me before the court. The person that hit me in the hit and run, I had to find myself. I got my preliminary report from the police 7 weeks after the accident. 7 weeks. That was preliminary. I got another report 9 weeks. The final report after that, they were not going to charge this person, yet they had actually been to that person's address the day I was hit. I had the license plate correct. The license plate was not mentioned in the reports. So I was left alone, and when they charged her after I found her, there was a video, and you'll see that if you watch the YouTube video. A little 4-second video showing the car driving away. And I had ID'd it properly. In fact, I don't show it in this one, but you can hear me yelling out her exact license plate as she's driving away. But when the police showed up, I couldn't remember it. I had everything right, but I was missing gaps in the numbers. I had the 3 or 4 numbers correct. The rest, couldn't remember. That's what happens when you're hit by a car, amongst many, many other things. So we need help. We're out there. 200,000 miles. I've ridden all over this country. And in Michigan, in this year, I've had 5 near misses. I've been assaulted physically twice in the last month, literally, on my bike. Guy got out of the car, walked towards me, and was going to attack me. I was standing there doing this because he missed me by 5 feet from a stop sign. Same angle, same direction, almost the same street. I was 2 blocks away from where I was hit by the car and thrown. So this is happening a lot more in my anecdotal statistic, but this last year has just been an incredible increase in what's been happening out there on the roads for bicyclists. I don't know what's happening, but something's changing, and we need to change it for the better. Thank you.
Thank you. Rep. Rogers, if you would come back up, we're going to just ask a question, and then I'm going to just ask that we kind of cut this one off, because we do have 2 other issues that I do need to take up, but I'm willing to have you back and we can ask more questions for a second testimony, if you don't mind. But we do have one. Kelly Breen had a question.
Thank you, Chair Leitner. Knowing we are short of time, I'd just like to let the bill sponsor know, Rep. Rogers, thank you for bringing this forward. I would like to talk with you offline about intent and prosecutorial discretion to ensure that we get this right, because it's clear that something needs to be done. I just think we can make it a little bit better, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
All right. Rep. Scott, go ahead real quick, please.
Yes. So I do empathize with everybody who's had situations on driving your bike, and we do need to be more aware of bicyclers on the road. But what about incidents? I almost had an incident the other week where there was a person in a wheelchair that wasn't following the rules of the road, rolling through a construction area, half in and half out. What happens when they're not following the rules of the road, though?
So there are already, thank you for the question. There are already laws on the books regarding how non-motorists should behave. So whether it be cyclists at an intersection that should come to a complete stop, or a wheelchair user, those laws are already on the books, and they already have law enforcement already has the discretion to ticket those individuals. We're talking about when a vehicle crashes into a vulnerable roadway user and either seriously injures or kills them.
No, I understand that, but you do mention people using wheelchairs. So this person, this individual, was in a wheelchair, not using the best discretion, not crossing at a cross light, in a construction zone, halfway in and halfway out between the cones. And luckily I saw her and it wasn't dark and I wasn't going fast, but what if someone had hit her and killed her? Would this apply to that?
The normal course of the law in an investigation would occur. This does not preclude any of that. It's another tool for charging for prosecutors, but the normal investigative process and judicial process would still be followed, and all the facts of the case would be examined.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Next up, we are gonna, oh wait, I have a card here. An electronic card of support for House Bill 4334, 4335. The Southeast Michigan Council of Governments supports the bill. Next up, we will have up Rep. Paquette. I know I saw him somewhere back there. In regards to House Bill 4284. On CPL renewal fees.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Committee, for squeaking me in. We're in the throes of some deliberation in Education Committee right now, so I appreciate you guys having me in. Excited to have some bipartisan legislation. I could say that I'm kind of like a grandpa on his porch shouting about how renewal fees for CPLs are too dang high. I've been doing this for about 7 years. I know Rep. Carter has been involved in this and on the committee for some time as well, but this goes way back. Right now, it's $100 to get a CPL application, to pay that fee to get your CPL. Got to go through a bunch of training, things like that, pay all that. And the renewal fees are actually higher than the original application at $115. And so we did a little bit of digging into this to figure out, well, how much does it actually cost to process a renewal application for your CPL? And it differs by county. Goes as low as, I think, $8 in one county to as high as $28 in Calhoun County, I believe it is. And so we wanted to reduce this to be able to cover those costs down to $30. We in this state are very much an outlier among other states as to how much we put onto CPL owners, and their renewal fees, $115, is way outside the base there. One aspect that we are sympathetic to is the electronic costs. If someone chooses to get their application process electronically through MSP, that's something that we should be able to backfill in the MSP budget. But with that, pretty simple, cut and dry, but here for any questions.
Thank you, Representative. I'm going to go ahead and call up people supporting the bill that wish to speak. Right now, I'm going to have Nick Bougie and Brady, I don't know, say your name. I don't know. Yeah, that guy. From Nick Bougie is from the NRA, and the other one is Michigan Coalition and Responsible Gun Owners. And we still have 2 more bills. If you guys can just get to the point, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Cutting our comments down is, yeah.
So,
thank you.
I'll just start off. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee, for hearing our testimony. CPL fees function as a financial barrier to constitutional rights. The Second Amendment and Article 1, Section 6 of the Michigan Constitution guarantee the right to keep and bear arms. Exercising a constitutional right should not depend on an individual's ability to pay a high license fee. The current $115 renewal fee often prices out Michiganders who wish to continue to carry concealed for self-defense. Many states charge substantially lower for a comparable license. Indiana eliminated all license fees altogether in 2020. Kentucky charges $60 for new and renewal. Ohio, $67 for new, $50 for renewal. Pennsylvania, $20 for new and renewal. Wisconsin, $40 for new and renewal. Michigan's fees place it in the top tier nationally, despite automation and cost savings at the application or in the application process. Since since shell issue became law in 2001, the administrative costs associated with gun review boards has been eliminated. Digital records and background checks have been streamlined, and the renewal process is often done online. Fingerprinting, database checks, and application management are now routine, requiring less manual review and fewer labor hours than in past decades. The fee no longer reflects the actual administrative cost of the license. Lowering these fees reduces barriers and promotes compliance with the law, encouraging lawful citizens to renew their license rather than carry on an expired license, which is a felony under Michigan law.
Thank you. I'm Brady Schickinger. I'm the Executive Director of the Michigan Coalition for Responsible Gun Owners, which is the organization primarily of CPL holders in our state. We are also a training organization. We have done training every year for probably the past 20 years to have legislators and legislative staff. So if any of you are interested in that, I'm the person you would want to get in touch with. And thank you to the chair for taking up the bill and the sponsor for sponsoring it. CPL fees have an unequal impact on urban and rural residents. They hit hardest in urban areas with high crime rates, where citizens may have the most need for carry for protection. Many rural counties as well have lower median incomes, meaning the fee disproportionately affects them. And women are the fastest growing group of CPL applicants in the state. 20 years ago, women made up 17% of CPL holders. Today, they make up 41% of CPL holders. So rapid growth with women taking our classes. Women in Michigan make 83 cents on the dollar compared to their male counterparts, meaning they face a disproportionate economic barrier with these high license costs. That's particularly the case with women seeking a emergency license for domestic violence situations. We are helping women pay for a lot of those licenses, but we can't get it. Most of them probably don't make it to us. They're just not aware of it. So we support, short of constitutional carry, we support this bill and the reduced renewal fees similar to our neighboring states as a way to align with actual administrative cost.
Thanks, fellas. And next we have, not right now, wishing to speak. We have two people from the same organization. So if you would come up at the same time, Tom Lambert and Casey Armitage of Michigan Open Carry, both wishing to speak and supporting the bill.
You can go first.
Good morning, members of the committee. My name is Tom Lambert. For those of you who I have not had the pleasure of meeting yet, I've been the legislative director for Michigan Open Carry for about a decade and a half now. I do this on a voluntary basis, which means I am not compensated for my time, nor have I ever received a single cent reimbursing me for any of the expenses that I incur coming here. I do this because I'm passionate about this area of law. So my hope is that my testimony to you is valuable today and that no one finds it to be a waste of time. I've been around a while. I was here about a decade ago when we got rid of the county gun boards. At the 11th hour, I was there when the state police came in regards to a bill they were already supporting and suddenly demanded more money to support a bill that they were already supporting, for a bill that would make the process more efficient, not less. Since that time, whenever we have complained that the fees are way too high, as you've heard, the top tier across the nation, the state police have always said, well, you guys set the fees, not them. And they're right. Technically, you guys set the fee, not them. But what they always leave out is that they convinced your predecessors to give them more money. One of the things we got in exchange for that is that they would have to provide annual reporting as to the amount of money they bring in and the amount of expenses that they incur. And I've been tracking that. I meant to have this printed for you, but unfortunately I left it on my printer. I've been tracking that for over a decade now. Just in the portion that goes to the state police, they have shown statistically at least a 70% profit in that time, going or roughly a 70% profit. It dropped down to about 60%, and at one time it was even as high as almost 80% profit. Obviously, profit is revenue minus expenses, because they are statutorily required every year to tell us what are their expenses. And that's just, again, the state police portion. The county clerks are all over the board in this report, from $1.66 per license to $89.18. We've done research on this, trying to find statistical correlations on, do big counties have more of a per license cost than small counties? Is it anything else? we have been unable to find a statistical correlation. What we have seen are county clerks state that they have too much money in their what we call 5X fund, because money that goes to the county clerks is restricted to just CPL processing. Money that goes to the state police is not restricted to just CPL processing. And some county clerks have said they have too much money in that fund. They don't know what to do with it. So they've been trying to find creative ways to spend it on. But what you've heard overall is we have a very high fee in this state comparatively. That fee is not reflective of the cost incurred to get that license. And that is very important now because this is the first time that this legislation has been heard since the Bruin decision from the United States Supreme Court. And there is a footnote in that decision that talks about unwarranted delay and fees in the process. So that last little bit is very important to everyone, because whether you support people carrying concealed or you don't support people carrying concealed, that's not the issue here. It's that you want people to go through this licensing process. And if a federal court were ever to find that the fees in this state are not reflective of the actual cost and strike down the requirement to get a license in the first place, I'm just going to guess that there are a lot of people in the committee that would not be happy with that result. I think the compromise is to ensure that the fees are reflective of the cost, and this bill significantly moves the needle in that direction. You have anything?
Just a little bit. So hi, I'm Casey Armitage. I'm the president of Michigan Open Carry, and thank you to Rep. Leitner for having us provide testimony today. I echo everybody's support so far, and I'm well aware that there's like thousands of Michiganders that have sent in their support, so I'll keep it brief. I strongly support this bill. This is definitely common sense reform that reduces the barriers to exercising our constitutional right. You pretty much said everything, guys, on the numbers and all of that. So just keep it out. This is real common sense reform that really does help the people. It goes back to the people, and I'm here for it, and I think all of our people are too.
Thank you. We have one more. Marcy, if you can keep it super, super quick. We have another 2 bills to get through before noon. But Marcy Jankovic, Women for Guns Rights, would like to speak and supports the bills. Thank you, Marcy.
My name is Marcy Jankovic, and I'm the Michigan Director for Women for Gun Rights. We're a national organization trying to put the face of women on gun ownership and advocating for our Second Amendment rights. We have learned that doing that for 10 years is fine, but we need to be more active at the state level. And so for the past year, we've been organizing Michigan Women for Gun Rights, of which I'm director. I'm here to tell you that last August, I celebrated my 79th birthday by going to the county clerk's office in Jackson, Michigan to renew my CPL for $115. As a senior citizen, I found that a little daunting. I don't think it's right to have a price, an economic value on my constitutional right. I don't have to pay a fee to exercise my right to free speech. I don't have to have a license to do those things, so I don't see why it should be any different here. I would encourage you to pass this bill, and I would also say that while I'm in favor of this bill, it doesn't go far enough. We really would support constitutional carry. I won't go into a whole lot about constitutional carry in this setting, but I would like you to know that we just consider this a step in the right direction, and I hope you support the bill.
Thank you. Thank you, Rep. Paquette. Right now, we are going to go ahead and move on to the next set of bills.
I had a quick question.
Oh, sure. Rep. Carter, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Quick question. How many years is the CPL license good for?
5.
5? So $115 divided over 5 years? Okay.
But, you know, in Brad's defense, it's not like they're reviewing it every 5 years. Anyway, moving on, we are going to move to testimony on House Bills 4947 and 4948, Rep. BeGole and Rep. McFall. And it's my understanding also with you fellas, you do have someone that wishes to speak and supports the bill with you on Zoom, Carlos Gutierrez from Consumer Health Product Association. So when you are done, when you're done giving your guys' testimony, we can just call on them. They can go ahead and interject.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Chair Leitner, Minority Vice Chair Carter, and fellow members of the Judiciary Committee. Thank you for placing House Bill 4947 and 4948 on the agenda today for testimony and consideration. I have over 32 years of law enforcement experience and witnessed the rise of the meth problems beginning in the 1990s within our local communities. While domestic production of meth has decreased greatly, there is still work to be done. Representative McFall and I have sponsored these two bills, packages to help continue the fight against the illegal production of meth by regulating the production, sale, and distribution of the substances contained in pseudoephedrine. My bill, 4947, would amend the Public Health Code and require all businesses selling the substance containing pseudoephedrine to require a participation in the National Precursor Log Exchange, also known as NPLEX. 20 years ago, in 2005, the federal government adopted the Combat Meth Academic Act. This law was adopted to try and address the growing meth lab problem in the United States. Since one of the precursors of making meth in those days was pseudoephedrine, medicines containing this ingredient were moved to behind the counter, limit how much product they can buy, and required each purchaser to present an ID and paper log for every transaction. In 2012, the state of Michigan modernized the law by becoming one of the 38 states to utilize electronic tracking and blocking rather than relying on the unsecure and ineffective paper logs. Michigan adopted a system that in real time blocks the illegal sale of pseudoephedrine containing medications. That system, known as NPLEX, prevents a criminal from going store to store, even state to state, to make these purchases, and in turn prevents an illegal diversion of these medications into the production of methamphetamine. That law, combined with good work in law enforcement, has been incredibly successful. In 2004, the United States seized over 24,000 meth labs nationwide. In 2022, that number was just 60. So far, we're in a very different place than we were back in 2005 or even 2012, but that's not to say that methamphetamine abuse or trafficking is not a problem today, because it certainly is. However, the meth that we're seizing on the streets today, the finished product comes from the drug cartels south of the border. Imported meth is much more pure, much more potent, and very cheap. As a result, domestically produced meth has all but gone away. However, the recent narco-terrorism war could increase our domestic production again. The electronic booking system in Michigan and 30 other states is incredibly valuable. It blocks the illegal sale of pseudoephedrine in real time. It works across state lines, and in Michigan alone, it has blocked over 60,000 boxes from being sold in 2024. Some of these boxes could have been diverted for the intended use and into the manufacture of methamphetamine via dangerous meth labs. So it's critical we keep the system operating smoothly and without disruption. That brings us to the legislation before us today, 4947 and 4948. House Bill 4947 addresses a loophole in the original 2012 legislation that adopted the electronic blocking system statewide. That loophole relates to the system's funding. It is important to note that this system is not paid for by taxpayers. It is not paid for by consumers who purchase the products, and it is not paid for by the retailers or the pharmacies that sell the product. Rather, it is the manufacturers of pseudoephedrine-contained medications that pay for the system voluntarily. While not mandated by law, since 2012, some of the manufacturers of pseudoephedrine containing medications have voluntarily paid the system. The market of these products, however, has expanded since that time, and new out-of-state manufacturers of these medications have entered the market. And while their products are being checked by the electronic booking system, they are not necessarily paying their product transactions. By doing so, the companies that voluntarily come forward to pay are being burdened by the cost associated with the new competitors. It's not only unfair, but it risks the long-term health of this important system. House Bill 4947 fixes that problem. It requires every manufacturer of pseudoephedrine containing medications to pay for the product transaction in the system if they choose to sell the product in Michigan. This eases the burden of the manufacturers that have been paying for the system since 2012 and preserves the long-term vulnerability of the system. And I'll reiterate that this is not being paid for by the consumers. In other words, if 5 boxes were sold a week, they only pay on those 5 boxes. Furthermore, each manufacturer can negotiate what they pay with electronic booking vendor. Many manufacturers of the medication support this legislation. The bill is merely about fixing the funding loophole that has occurred and will ensure that the Michigan is in a better place long term. The states of Mississippi and Illinois have passed similar legislation this year, along with some other states that are considering it in 2026. House Bill 4948 addresses another aspect of the law. With electronic booking system in place, pharmacies have expanded avenues on how to sell these medications to allergy-suffering families online. Unfortunately, Michigan is only one of 6 states that prevent more modern transactions of these medications. Transactions like curbside pickup or online purchases are not allowed in Michigan. So now I'd like to turn things over to my colleague, Representative McFall, who can speak more about his bill.
Thank you, Representative, and thank you, Chair Leitner, Minority Vice Chair Carter, and you, and to the entire committee. Thank you for having me here to testify in support of House Bill 4948 on preserving pseudoephedrine. That is a very complicated word. I'm sure you guys saw it on the thing. So, medication electronic blocking. As Vice Chair BeGole outlined, this legislation addresses the current market inequity where some manufacturers have benefited from the National Precursor Log Exchange system's protections without contributing to its costs, while others have shouldered the financial responsibility. By ensuring universal participation, these bills eliminate the free rider problem and establish fair cost sharing among all market participants who benefit from this critical drug prevention infrastructure. My bill amends the Code of Criminal Procedure to modify language in the sentencing guidelines that corresponds to the felony referenced in House Bill 4947. Specifically, the code states that the sale, distribution, or delivery of product containing ephedrine or pseudoephedrine by mail, internet, or telephone is a Class F controlled substance felony punishable by the maximum term of imprisonment of 4 years. The bill would retain the category, class, and maximum sentence provisions, but would change the description to failure to deliver or ship product containing ephedrine and pseudoephedrine directly to purchaser or comply with applicable federal law. The bill cannot take effect unless House Bill 4947 is also enacted. And now we have somebody online if you'd like to bring them on.
Yep. Carlos, are you on Zoom still?
I am, Madam Chair. Can you hear me okay?
Yep. Go ahead. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the Judiciary Committee. Appreciate the opportunity to be here before you today. Apologize for not being there in person. I had planned on doing so, but I got caught in a ground stop in DC last night. Just never made it out. But thanks for accommodating this remote testimony. My name is Carlos Gutierrez. I'm the Vice President of State Government Affairs for the Consumer Healthcare Products Association. We represent the makers of over-the-counter medications, dietary supplements, and over-the-counter medical devices, and I'm here to speak in very strong support of both House Bill 4947 and House Bill 4948. Thank you to Representative BeGole and McFall for bringing these bills forward. I know we're on limited time, so I'm going to try to be really brief here. In case you aren't aware, pseudoephedrine is an active ingredient. You can find it in many of the most popular cold, cough, and allergy medications on the market. It's a nasal decongestant. You can find it in Zyrtec D, Allegra D, Sudafed, Advil Cold and Sinus, Mucinex D, and many others. These products are safe, they're effective, and they've been sold over the counter for nearly 50 years. As was said earlier, since 2012, the makers of these medications have willingly paid for the NPLEX system, and that's the system that governs the sale of pseudoephedrine, not only in Michigan, but in 37 other states. It blocks the illegal sale of pseudoephedrine in real time. It does so across state lines, and it's been incredibly effective, as also was described earlier. The people that I represent, the makers of these products, pay for the system, and we think that's appropriate, and we want to continue to support that. However, in recent years, as was described earlier, we did uncover an issue that is potentially threatening the future of that framework. And that problem is just that not all manufacturers are participating in the funding of the system. And as a result, the purchases have become significant enough at this point that some manufacturers have questioned whether they should just continue paying if there's going to be free riders. So this bill, House Bill 4947, fixes that issue by simply requiring that all manufacturers who sell into the market there in Michigan will have to pay for the transactions associated with their products. We, the industry, think that's fair, and I do think it'll ensure that the long-term viability of the system for many years to come. As was stated earlier, Mississippi and Illinois passed similar legislation this year, and a number of other states are going to be considered in 2026. I think this NPLEX system has become really critical for law enforcement and for the safety of residents, that we think it's really important to ensure the long-term financing of it. In terms of House Bill 4948, we also fully support this. This modernizes Michigan's law to allow for online transactions. You know, as was stated earlier, the Combat Meth Epidemic Act that passed Congress passed back in 2005. That was before the advent of the iPhone even. So obviously in the last 20 years, a lot has changed in terms of technology. Under current law, you're not allowed in Michigan to make a purchase outside the pharmacy. This bill would change that. I do want to emphasize, however, that any retailer that offers online sales capability must still satisfy all the requirements of current law. You'll still have to show ID. You're still limited in how much you can buy. But this will allow someone the convenience of buying online or to do curbside pickup or direct to home delivery. So we fully support convenient access to these medications. And I'll just stop there and try to answer any questions the committee may have. Thank you for your time and urge support for both of these bills.
Thank you. Well, we do have another card in here in regards to House Bill 4947, 4948. Does not wish to speak and supports bill. Drew Beardsley of the Michigan Retailers Association. I don't have any questions right now. Thanks, fellas. I do understand the issue in updating the system and making the proper, entities pay for it, and also still having the verification. I mean, I'm sure there's a tedious process on what it looks like for the online verification at this point, and I would like to talk to you offline probably about that. But seeing no further business before the committee, we are adjourned.